Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD Indian News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Coming up in the next hour. Singapore Prime Minister Lawrence Wong is on 3-day India visit to hold bilateral talks with Prime Minister Modi. Issues of mutual interest on agenda of discussion. Rescuers battle to reach survivors in quake-hit Afghanistan as death toll reaches 1,400. Humanitarian aid pours in. India continues to extend support. Multiple attacks in Pakistan leaves at least 25 dead, including 11 at political rally. Investigation underway. US military sends a clear message to Maduro and Venezuela against drug cartel. Kills 11 people in a strike since recent deployment of warships to the southern Caribbean. World number 2 Carlos Alcaraz, Arena Sabalenka and Jessica Pegula book semi-final berth at the US Open. India's Yuki Bhamri and his Kiwi partner Michael Venus storm into quarterfinals. Singapore's Prime Minister Lawrence Wong has arrived in New Delhi on 3-day visit to India. This is Prime Minister Wong's first visit to India in his capacity as Singapore's Prime Minister. He will hold talks with Prime Minister Modi on Thursday. The two leaders will review the robust and multifaceted cooperation between India and Singapore and set the path for future collaboration. They will also engage on regional and international issues. The Singapore leader will call on President Draupadi Murmu. Singapore is an important partner for India, including in New Delhi's Act East policy. During the visit of Prime Minister Modi to Singapore in September 2024, the bilateral ties were elevated to a comprehensive strategic partnership. The visit coincides with the 60th anniversary of India-Singapore diplomatic relations. Close ties between India and Singapore have a history rooted in strong commercial, cultural and people-to-people links across a millennium. Singapore is India's largest trade partner in ASEAN. It is the leading source of FDI with flows of US $14.94 billion. About 9,000 Indian companies are registered in Singapore. People of Indian origin constitute 9% of 4.04 million resident population of Singapore. Singapore also hosts 1.64 million foreigners, including Indian citizens. Indian Finance and Corporate Affairs Minister Nirmala Sitharaman met Singapore Prime Minister Lawrence Wong in New Delhi on Tuesday. Minister Sitharaman welcomed Singapore PM on his first official visit to India as the Prime Minister. In a post on X on Tuesday, the Ministry of Finance stated that the discussion centered on enhancing cooperation in critical areas including trade and investment, fintech, skill development, sustainability, healthcare and connectivity. Both sides also expressed a firm commitment to deepen collaboration, marking a pivotal moment as India and Singapore celebrate 60 years of diplomatic relations. The Singaporean Prime Minister also took to social media platform X and highlighted the meeting with Union Finance Minister. He also stated that discussions took place on the outcomes of recently concluded third round of India-Singapore Ministerial Roundtable held last month. German Federal Minister for Foreign Affairs Johann David Waterfuhl arrived in New Delhi following his engagement in Bengaluru as part of his 2-day official visit to the country. During his day-long stay in New Delhi, the German Foreign Minister will meet Union Minister of Commerce and Industry Piyush Goyal. He will also hold a meeting with his Indian counterpart Dr. S. Jaishankar. India's Ministry of External Affairs in a social media post stated that German foreign ministers' engagements in Bengaluru and Delhi will further strengthen the multifaceted India-Germany strategic partnership as the two nations mark 25 years of its completion. Aimed at enhancing India's semiconductor ecosystem, Prime Minister Narendra Modi to participate in second day of Semicon India 2025 conference inaugurated by him on Tuesday. The three-day conference, witnessing participants from over 48 countries, over 150 speakers, including over 50 global leaders and more than 350 exhibitors. The initiative focused on advancing a robust, resilient and sustainable semiconductor ecosystem in India. It features sessions on the progress of Semicon India program, semiconductor fab and advanced packaging projects, infrastructure readiness, smart manufacturing, innovations in R&D and artificial intelligence, investment opportunities, state-level policy implementation, among others. Earlier on Tuesday, Prime Minister Modi said that India will hold a significant share in the global semiconductor market, which is expected to surpass $1 trillion in the coming years. DD India's Raghav Kumar Jha looks at the semiconductor ecosystem in India, which can prove to be a catalyst in making the nation self-reliant and globally competitive in this sector.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday received India's first indigenous semiconductor chip at the inauguration of Semicon India 2025 in New Delhi. In his inaugural address, Prime Minister said the global semiconductor market is projected to cross $1 trillion in the coming years. And with the speed at which India is advancing, the country will secure a significant share of this market.
आज सेमीकंडक्टर्स का ग्लोबल मार्केट $600 बिलियन तक पहुंच रहा है और अगले कुछ साल में ये $1 ट्रिलियन को भी पार कर जाएगा। और मुझे विश्वास है भारत जिस तेजी से सेमीकंडक्टर सेक्टर में आगे बढ़ रहा है, इस $1 ट्रिलियन मार्केट शेयर में एक अहम हिस्सा भारत का रहने वाला है।
Let us have a quick look at the semiconductor program in India and its share in the global market. Semicon India program was launched in the country in 2021. By 2023, India's first semiconductor plant had been approved. In 2024, several other plants received approval, and in 2025, 5 additional projects were cleared. Now India has 10 approved semiconductor projects across 6 states involving an investment of over $18 billion. Global semiconductor market has already reached $600 billion, and in the coming years, it is expected to surpass $1 trillion. India contributes 20% of the world's semiconductor design talent. As per industry estimates, the size of the Indian semiconductor market in 24-25 was $45 to $50 billion. The market in India is expected to reach $100 to $110 billion by 2030. Industry leaders have hailed India's growing role and said that India is laying the foundation of a resilient semiconductor ecosystem.
With the progress India have made in the last few years, entering semiconductor and becoming a strong country for semiconductor manufacturing makes a lot of sense.
So this is excellent steps. Progress is being made, evidence is seen, and now the future is for us to take.
Customers are here in India. We want to be able to support them, to support the growth trajectory that we have here in India. The Modi's law of exponential growth, we want to be here to be able to support that.
The speed with which India is moving ahead in this sector, developing semiconductor parks across the country with access to a skilled worker pool. The day seems not far away when, in the words of Prime Minister Modi, the world will say, designed in India, made in India and trusted by the world. Raghav Kumar Jha reports for DD India.
All right, and DD India's Akshay Dongre joins us from New Delhi on this story. Hi Akshay, a very good morning. Akshay, PM Modi will participate in the second day of Semicon India 2025 conference. What more details do you have on this event?
Well, Siddharth, it's quite refreshing to see, especially when it comes to such an advanced sector of manufacturing, that Prime Minister Narendra Modi not only yesterday visited here, listened to all the leaders from the industry, from the ministry. He sat there, he came early, but he still spent a lot of time, listening to the views and opinions of the leaders in the sector, not just from India, but from across the world. And this is his second consecutive day. Now, remembering Prime Minister has just come from Japan and China's visit. And, the very next day, Prime Minister was here yesterday in the Semicon India 2025 for the inauguration. And now, tomorrow, we'll see, a lot more enthusiasm and participation from the industry. But for today, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is making a second consecutive visit where he's going to meet the industry leaders, meet the innovators, meet the MSME sectors in the semicon industry and other areas as well. So he'll be personally going and interacting with the semiconductor leaders at their stalls today. So, we can expect a lot of conversations between the Prime Minister of the country and the leaders in the semicon industry, especially the startups that are coming in, the MSME, organizations that are coming in. So it is going to be quite refreshing. And it seems that India is getting an unprecedented push for the semiconductor mission that we have been seeing in the works in the last, 1 year. In fact, tomorrow, the leaders from Singapore are going to be here. The Prime Minister will be here. And, we remembering Prime Minister Modi, when he visited Singapore, his major emphasis was on semiconductor. So it seems that, all of these meetings and all of these arrivals and bilateral visits along with Semicon India is going to give a major boost to India's semicon industry. And the target that has been set of about $100 billion industry by 2030 may be achieved even before that.
Definitely, Akshay. Akshay, semiconductors are also called the brain of modern electronics. Tell us a bit about its applications and India's approach to become a semiconductor powerhouse.
Well, Siddharth, Prime Minister said it in very apt manner that oil was black gold, but these semiconductor chips are digital diamonds. And what essentially means by that is Prime Minister's focus on semiconductor is also there because everything that we use, from mobile phones to the high-tech equipment, from cars to even rockets, every machinery that is advanced in nature when it comes to digital technology that is involved in it. Semiconductor is an inalienable part of a digital infrastructure. It is in fact the core and can be considered the soul of all the digital transformation that are taking place around the world. So, a country like India that has a population of, over 140 crore people, over 1.4 billion people, that is, driving change, that is growing fast. Without the semiconductors and a robust semiconductor industry, that growth is going to be limited. So, Prime Minister's focus is to remove that barrier by, making India itself a semiconductor hub.
Akshay, you're covering this event and there are several stalls there, and I'm sure, did you have a word with the people there who were having their own stalls there, especially the foreign nationals? What are they saying? What are they saying about India's approach towards semiconductor and the collaboration between their country and India as far as semiconductor is concerned?
Well, Siddharth, I spoke to many of the leaders in the semicon industry, and they all are elated about the fact that Prime Minister is taking a very, very personal interest in the semicon industry. Now, if the leader of your country takes a lot of interest in in any particular field, there is a lot of enthusiasm and confidence in the industry. So the industry seems quite confident, and it seems that we are going to see a lot of positive results in the upcoming days. Back to you, Siddharth.
All right, we won't take much of your time, Akshay. We leave it there. Thank you so much. The 14th edition of the India-Thailand Joint Military Exercise Maitri 14 commenced with a grand opening ceremony at Joint Training Node in Meghalaya. The ongoing bilateral exercise is part of military-to-military exchange program between the two countries and aims to enhance cooperation, interoperability and mutual understanding between the Indian Army and Royal Thai Army. The 13th edition of the exercise was held in Thailand. The joint exercise will focus on company-level counter-terrorist operations in semi-urban terrain under Chapter 7 of the United Nations Charter. The two-week program includes tactical drills, joint planning, special arms skills, physical fitness and raiding operations. The exercise will culminate with a 48-hour validation exercise simulating realistic operational scenarios. The ships of the first training squadron of the Indian Navy, comprising INS Tir and INS Shardul and CGS Sarathi, reached Port Victoria, Seychelles on Tuesday. The arrival at port was marked with a ceremonial welcome by the Seychelles Defence Force Band, emphasizing strong maritime ties between the two nations. It is presently on long-range training deployment in Southwest Indian Ocean region. The deployment of 1TS to Seychelles is the third port call of Indian Navy ships to Seychelles in 2025. The highlights is the Indian Navy's robust bilateral engagement and maritime partnership aligned with the broader vision of Mahasagar in IOR. The Air Force proved to be a game-changer for India during Operation Sindoor, devastating terrorist camps deep inside Pakistan with precision and lethality. Our correspondent, Nandita Daga, spoke to the man who was at the helm of affairs at one of 4 frontline Air Force commands.
We are with Air Marshal Nagesh Kapoor. He is the air officer in charge commanding of the Southwestern Air Force Command.
When we are in our own domain and prosecuting an operation, we remain somehow aloof from the actual goings on in the industry. And so from here in the next 2 days, I want to understand, I want to take forward what exactly is happening in our industrial domain so as to make sure that our armed forces are better prepared, they are better equipped to handle another such contingency. As you yourself said, Operation Sindoor is ongoing, so we should be better prepared and to tackle any eventuality that comes immediately after this. So that is something that I would like to hear from in this seminar, and that is something that I would like to learn.
And still to come on DD News. Trump moves Space Command headquarters from Alabama to Colorado. US judge blocks President Trump from using troops to fight crime in California. What happened on the first day of final stage in Bolsonaro's trial? Stay tuned to know more.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD News. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. United States, in its fight against drug cartels, carried out military strikes off Venezuela coast on Tuesday. US President Donald Trump, in a press meet, has confirmed that US forces had attacked a boat carrying drugs to the United States. He further said the US military killed 11 people in the strike on a vessel allegedly carrying drugs in the southern Caribbean. Trump also posted a video online of an open-topped speedboat carrying a number of people traveling on a body of water before it exploded in a ball of flames.
Just over the last few minutes, literally shot out a boat, a drug-carrying boat, a lot of drugs in that boat. We have a lot of drugs pouring into our country, coming in for a long time, and we just, these came out of Venezuela. And coming out very heavily from Venezuela. A lot of things are coming out of Venezuela, so we took it out.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio told reporters before leaving to Mexico that President Trump will use full power to eradicate drug cartels.
The president was very clear, and that is we destroyed a drug boat that left Venezuela, operated by a designated narco-terrorist organization, which is what these are. And he's been clear that the days of acting with impunity and having an engine shot down or a couple drugs grabbed off a boat, those days are over. Now we are going to wage combat against drug cartels that are flooding American streets and killing Americans.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio on Tuesday opened a visit to Mexico which warned against violations of its sovereignty. Rubio is paying the highest-ranking visit to the U.S. neighbor since President Donald Trump returned to office in January with an agenda of cracking down on migration and drug cartels. Mexico so far has navigated the treacherous terrain with Trump, with President Claudia Sheinbaum seeking to avoid confrontation. Sheinbaum will meet Rubio on Wednesday, who was personally welcomed by Mexican Foreign Secretary hours before Rubio's arrival. Sheinbaum said she would draw a line on U.S. military intervention in Mexico. As Trump threatened to send troops to more U.S. cities, a federal judge blocked U.S. President Donald Trump's administration from using the military to fight crime in California. San Francisco-based U.S. District Judge Charles Breyer found that the Trump administration willfully violated a law known as the Posse Comitatus Act, which sharply limits the use of the military for domestic enforcement by employing troops to control crowds and bolster federal agents during immigration and drug raids. The administration deployed 4,000 National Guard members and 700 active-duty U.S. Marines to Los Angeles in June. Tuesday's ruling dealt a setback to Trump's push to broaden the role of military on U.S. soil, which critics say is a dangerous expansion of executive authority that could spark tensions between troops and ordinary citizens. President Donald Trump said on Tuesday that he plans to send U.S. National Guard troops to fight crime in Chicago, but declined to offer a specific timing of the deployment. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson said over the weekend that Chicago police will not collaborate with any National Guard troops or federal agents if Trump deploys them to the city in coming days, as he has threatened in the past.
I would love to receive calls from governors and mayors saying they need help. We'll help them. We have a lot of people. We have a great force. We have a great military force. You know,
a U.S. House of Representatives committee released the first batch of documents on Tuesday from the investigation into sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The release includes more than 33,000 pages of documents and several videos with 2 more hours of footage from the night of Epstein's death. The proposal submitted by Republican U.S. Representative Thomas Massie and Representative Ro Khanna would require the U.S. Attorney General to publicly release all unclassified Epstein records in possession of the Department of Justice, including the FBI and U.S. Attorneys' offices, Massie and Khanna, will hold a press conference with Epstein victims today. Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson told reporters that Massie's petition was inartfully drafted because it lacked language that would protect the identities of victims who were sexually abused by Epstein. Johnson also said the petition is moot due to the work of House Oversight and Government Reform Committee. The release of Epstein files comes after demands from lawmakers that all the files be made public. Party leadership looked to end a push by a bipartisan pair of lawmakers to force a vote on the matter. The case of Epstein had caused a political headache for President Trump after many of his supporters embraced a slew of conspiracy theories surrounding Epstein. The committee has subpoenaed the DOJ and Epstein's estate for documents and convicted Epstein accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell for a deposition. President Donald Trump dismissed reports on social media that he is in ill health, saying he was busy over the Labor Day weekend giving media interviews and visiting his Virginia golf course. Speculation about his health swirled on the social media platform, with posts citing Trump's lack of public schedule over the weekend and an interview with Vice President J.D. Vance published on Thursday. On July 17, White House spokeswoman Caroline Leavitt said Trump was experiencing swelling in his lower legs and bruising on his right hand after photos showed him with swollen ankles, and makeup covering part of his hand. Since then, the White House has played down concerns about Trump's health, saying he's taking the leg issue in stride without detailing how it is being treated. Moving on, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz on Tuesday said that Ukraine's allies will continue discussions on possible security guarantees for Kiev during their video conference meeting this week. Speaking at a joint news conference with Swiss President in Berlin, Merz said that leaders of the coalition of the willing will analyze the situation as diplomatic efforts to arrange a meeting between Ukrainian and Russian leaders have so far stalled. The German Chancellor has expressed hope that Switzerland would be able to reduce the exorbitantly high customs tariffs currently placed on them by the United States.
Ich habe das mit Präsident Macron in der letzten Woche in
I agreed with President Macron on this last week in Toulon, also in consultation with the British, that we would hold another video conference this week. This will also address further aid for Ukraine. We will try to analyze the situation together. The issue of security guarantees will also play a role. But the most important security guarantee we can give at the moment is sufficient support for the Ukrainian army in its efforts to defend this country. I very much hope that Switzerland will also succeed in reducing the exorbitantly high customs tariffs currently demanded by the Americans.
The landmark trial of former Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro entered its final phase as the Supreme Court began hearing closing arguments. A lawyer for Bolsonaro said on Tuesday the trial session ended as expected after the first day of the final stage of trial. Another member of Bolsonaro's defense team, attorney Paulo Cunha, said the former president will not attend tomorrow's session due to his health condition. This year, Bolsonaro has cancelled a series of public events due to his health issues. The former president was hospitalized for 3 weeks in April due to abdominal surgery to treat an intestinal obstruction. Meanwhile, Brazil's President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva said he expects justice to be served. Lula also spoke about the role of Donald Trump in the case, which he called meddling in another country's justice system. Trump has cited the case as the primary justification for imposing 50% tariffs on many Brazilian goods and cancelling the US visas of most Brazilian Supreme Court judges. Peruvian authorities promised a comprehensive investigation into the killing of the Indonesian diplomat Zetro Leonardo Purba in Lima, who was fatally shot 3 times by an unknown assailant while riding his bike home on Monday. Indonesian Foreign Minister Sugiono said that he had spoken with his Peruvian counterpart, urging a thorough investigation into Purba's death. Peru's foreign ministry expressed deep regret over the assassination and pledged to take all necessary measures to determine the facts. It also said that police protection for the Indonesian embassy staff and premises in Lima will be increased. China kicked off its largest ever military parade on Wednesday, marking 80 years since Japan's defeat at the end of World War II. President Xi Jinping welcomed the arrivals of his counterparts, Russia's Vladimir Putin and North Korea's Kim Jong-un. The 70-minute showcase features aerial displays, marching troops, as well as cutting-edge military equipment such as hypersonic missiles, unmanned drones and outfitted tanks. She also reviewed the troops lined up in formation before delivering a keynote speech. Major roads and schools have been closed in Beijing for the parade, the culmination of weeks of painstaking security preparations and midnight rehearsals. The highly choreographed Victory Day spectacle comes as US President Donald Trump's America First stance and trade wars have strained Washington's long-standing allies. All right, let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. Colombia's capital, Bogota's first metro train arrived at the port of Cartagena on Tuesday, marking a historic moment for the Colombian capital after 83 years of waiting. The 6-car train is a part of Line 1 of the city's long-awaited metro system. The project, first promised in 1942, is set to begin operations in March 2028 with a total of 30 trains planned. World's smallest deer, the pudu, is under threat from car collisions and dog attacks in southern Chile's Kilauea Island. Dozens of deer have died this year, with conservationists warning of a shrinking population of about 10,000. Locals are calling for protective steps like road signs, speed bumps and a pudu law to save the species. In Copenhagen, a banana-shaped artwork by Danish artist Thyra Hilden sold for $12,869 at the Enter Art Fair. The piece brought by Anderson was priced at 10% of Maurizio Catalan's banana artwork to highlight the gender inequality in the art world. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Nepal increases the cost of permit to climb Mount Everest by about 1/3. Hawaii's Kilauea volcano erupts again. And we will give you weather updates from parts of India.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Johar. Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout हो गया.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj and a quick recap of headlines. Singapore Prime Minister Lawrence Wong is on 3-day India visit to hold bilateral talks with Prime Minister Modi. Issues of mutual interest on agenda of discussion. Rescuers battle to reach survivors in quake-hit Afghanistan as death toll reaches 1,400. Humanitarian aid pours in. India continues to extend support. Multiple attacks in Pakistan leaves at least 25 dead, including 11 at political rally. Investigation is underway. US military sends a clear message to Maduro and Venezuela against drug cartel. Kills 11 people in a strike since recent deployment of warships to the southern Caribbean. World number 2 Carlos Alcaraz, Arina Sabalenka and Jessica Pegula booked semi-final berth at the US Open. India's Yuki Bhamri and his Kiwi partner Michael Venus storm into quarterfinals. In Pakistan, over a dozen people were killed in 3 attacks on Tuesday, including 14 who died after a suicide bomber targeted a political rally in the southwestern province of Balochistan. Dozens of people were wounded in that explosion, which took place in the parking lot of a stadium in the provincial capital, Quetta, where hundreds of members of the Balochistan National Party had gathered. Government officials said the rally was held to commemorate the anniversary of the death of Sardar Ataullah Mengal, a nationalist leader and former provincial chief minister. The official said that Mengal's son, Sardar Akhtar Mengal, who was in attendance, is safe, adding that another 30 people were injured. Another attack in Balochistan near the border with Iran claimed 5 lives on Tuesday, while 6 soldiers were killed after a suicide attack on their base in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. The regional police chief said that the suicide bomber rammed his explosive-laden car into the boundary wall of the base in town of Bannu early on Tuesday, causing an explosion that allowed other attackers to enter the compound. A police statement blamed the attack on Islamist militants without naming any group. The death toll soared past 1,400 people, with thousands more injured in the strong earthquake that hit Afghanistan as rescuers battled to reach survivors trapped in remote areas. Aid agencies had made their way on foot in some places, and helicopters were being used to airlift the injured. The 6.0 magnitude trembler struck a remote mountainous area in eastern Afghanistan along the Pakistan border on Sunday, according to the US Geological Survey. Its epicenter was 17 miles from the eastern city of Jalalabad at a shallow depth of 5 miles, at which even relatively moderate earthquakes can cause widespread damage. Afghanistan is especially vulnerable to earthquakes as it sits on top of several fault lines where the Indian and Eurasian plates meet. In response to the devastating earthquake in Afghanistan, India continues to extend its support. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar shared some photographs on social media platform X as India sent 21 tons of humanitarian assistance to quake-hit country. The consignment included a wide range of relief materials, including basic necessities. The minister added that India would continue to monitor the situation and provide more assistance in the coming days. India had previously extended humanitarian aid to Afghanistan on Monday, including relief materials. While on Monday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also extended his grief over the loss of lives in the natural calamity and said that India stands ready to provide all possible humanitarian aid to those affected by the quake in Afghanistan. On Tuesday, the Sikh community dispatched relief material for earthquake victims from Gurdwara Guru Nanak Darbar in Afghanistan's Jalalabad. Donated by the Gurudwara committee, the relief material has been sent to Kunar, the worst hit province where over 1,000 people died. Nepal has implemented a new rate for permits for the ascent to Mount Everest starting September 1st. Royalty fee for foreigners climbing Everest from the south route in the popular spring season, which is from March to May, has now risen from 11,000 to 15,000 US dollars. In the autumn season from September to November, the fee has been increased to 7,500 US dollars per person from 5,500 US dollars. In unfavorable weather time like winter and monsoon, the fee would be 3,750 US dollar per person. The new rules also include other provisions like reduction in permit validity to 55 days. A new rule mandates that every 2 climbers attempting a mountain above 8,000 meters must hire 1 guide. Permit fees for other mountains have also been increased. Since 1953, marking the first climb to Mount Everest by Sir Edmund Hillary of New Zealand and Tenzing Norgay, a Sherpa from Nepal, more than 7,200 individuals have submitted Mount Everest. In fact, submitted the Mount Everest, and the revenue generated annually from Mount Everest ascents. Specifically from permit fees is a significant source of income for Nepal's government. In Nepal, the number of new cholera infections in Birganj of Terai region has recently decreased to 103 active cases on Tuesday. Birganj is experiencing its largest cholera outbreak since 2009. The outbreak began with sudden surge of acute watery diarrhea case in August. The National Public Health Laboratory has identified the responsible strain as Vibrio cholerae O1 Ogawa serotype. Home Minister of Nepal, Ramesh Lekhak, had visited various hospitals to inspect the treatment facilities and gather information on the condition of cholera patients. The personnel from all 3 security agencies, including the Nepali Army, are directed to be mobilized to control the cholera outbreak. Public health awareness campaigns are also underway, and schools were temporarily closed for 3 days from August 27th to 29th, 2025 to contain the spread of the disease. Weather updates from parts of India now. Moderate to intense rainfall is likely over Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh and Odisha. Orange to red alert zones with light to moderate showers expected over yellow alert areas during night time. Among the northern Indian states, the hilly regions of Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand are likely to receive moderate showers with isolated areas facing severe rainfall. The next 24 hours remain critical as the IMD has issued a flood alert, warning of moderate to high risk of flash floods across parts of Uttarakhand, Jammu and Kashmir, Ladakh and Himachal Pradesh. According to the latest report from the India Meteorological Department, stations across Jammu and Kashmir are recording heavy to very heavy rainfall. Riyasi district alone has received 168.5 millimeters so far. Delhi and surrounding regions will remain cloudy with light to moderate rain expected. Residents in flood-prone zones are advised to stay alert. The monsoon remains active and IMD has issued warnings for several regions to prepare for possible disruptions. Meanwhile, Northern Railway has cancelled 68 trains to and from Jammu and Katra till September 30th, with 24 services set to resume. Rail traffic remains suspended for over a week due to severe track damage in the Pathankot Jammu section following intense rains and flash floods. The Jammu region recorded 380 mm of rainfall, its highest since 1910, leaving scores stranded, including pilgrims. Further, a landslide near the Mata Vaishno Devi shrine claimed 34 lives, highlighting the scale of disruption across rail and road networks. All right, ND India's Ankush Sharma joins us from Jammu. Hi Ankush, a very good morning to you. Can you please tell us what is the situation right now where you are?
Very good morning, Siddharth. As from yesterday, the heavy rainfall has been continued since yesterday in Jammu and in different parts of Jammu region, which is very disrupting right now in the region, and the situation is tense right now here because the Chenab River level across its evacuation level, which is 44 feet, and similarly in Tavi River, it is also flowing at 24 feet, which is the highest of its evacuation level, which is 23 of its evacuation level. So you can understand that situation is very tense right now. Administration is working 24/7 to evacuate people and to move them to the safe places. From yesterday, administration is trying its best to evacuate people from the low-lying areas. So right now the rain is still happening in Jammu and in other parts of Jammu region. Rajouri Poonch traffic has been suspended since yesterday because of landslide, and Jammu Srinagar traffic is also remained suspended. Meanwhile, Jammu and Kashmir administration ordered to shut the schools and colleges today as well as a precautionary measure. Therefore, I also want to mention here in upper reaches of Jammu division, there is also heavy rainfall which makes flood-like situation in some parts of Jammu region. Meanwhile, internet and calling facilities is also slowed down again in the region. So situation is tense right now. People are advised to stay indoors. Advisories are there, and people have been advised to stay away from water bodies right now.
Ankush, any details on whether the basic necessities is being provided to the people who are being evacuated?
Yes, more than 6,000 people already evacuated by the Jammu and Kashmir government after 26th of August floods. So today the situation is similar like 26th of August. So administration are evacuating people to the safe zones and providing all the essential services to them, all the essential items to them like food, clothes, water. And I also want to mention here in many parts of Jammu division, still electricity crisis is there and water crisis is there because of heavy rainfall. Many places are suffering without electricity and water supplies here. So the situation is very critical, and according to meteorological department, the next 16 hours are very crucial for Jammu and Kashmir, especially for Jammu region, because heavy rainfall predicted for the next 16 hours, which disrupted the daily life of Jammu residents here.
Okay, Ankush, this is developing. We'll keep taking updates from you on this, but as of now, we leave it there. Thank you so much. The situation in Himachal Pradesh has become extremely serious due to heavy rains, floods and landslides. A red alert has been issued for the next 16 to 18 hours in 4 districts, Chamba, Kullu, Kangra and Mandi, warning of heavy to very heavy rainfall. Meanwhile, an orange alert is in place for 6 districts, including the capital Shimla, due to expected heavy rainfall. Manali hit by floods. The bridge connecting Old Manali to the main town has been completely submerged in the Beas River. A tempo traveller was also swept away in the raging waters. Fortunately, no lives were lost in the incident. All schools, colleges and Anganwadi centres across almost the entire state will remain closed for the 3rd consecutive day. Punjab remains on high alert as heavy rainfall continues for the third consecutive day, prompting the Weather Department to issue warnings in 8 districts. The situation remains critical with over 1,400 villages across 23 districts affected by flooding and related incidents. Rescue operations have managed to save 19,597 people so far. However, the damage to agriculture has been severe, with crops destroyed over an estimated 1,48,590 hectares of land. Authorities continue to monitor the situation closely, urging citizens to stay indoors and follow safety advisories. In US, Kilauea volcano in Hawaii erupted again on Tuesday. It's the 32nd time the volcano has released molten rock since December, when its current eruption began. So far, all the lava from this eruption has been contained within the summit crater inside Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. Kilauea is considered one of the world's most active volcanoes. And still to come on DD India News Hour. OpenAI plans parental controls. LK Gundogan joins Galatasaray. And Australian Molly Picklum and Brazil's Iago Dora clinched their first world titles at the Lexus WSL finals.
This week on Defence Dynamics, India's tank force takes on the drone challenge. How counter unmanned aerial systems are rewriting armoured warfare. A major milestone in Indian air power, why the induction of Tejas Mark II matters. And on the robotics front, what is Bhairav's robotics Rakshak and why it could redefine battlefield autonomy. This Wednesday at 8 PM only on DD India.
You're watching DD India News. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj, and on to business news now. ChatGPT's parent company OpenAI said that it plans to launch parental controls for its popular AI assistant within the next month. The move comes after a week after an American couple said the system encouraged their teenage son to kill himself. In the new feature, parents will also receive notifications from ChatGPT when the system detects their teen is in a moment of acute distress. The company said it had further plans to improve the safety of its chatbots over the coming 3 months, including redirecting some sensitive conversations to a reasoning model that puts more computing power into generating a response. In a rare win for Google, a US judge ruled on Tuesday that the big tech won't have to sell its Chrome browser, but ordered Google to share data with rivals to open up competition in online search. The landmark ruling came after US District Judge Amit Mehta found in August 2024 that Google illegally maintained monopolies in online search through exclusive distribution agreements worth billions of dollars annually. Google CEO Sundar Pichai expressed concerns at trial in the case in April that the data sharing measures sought by the US Department of Justice could enable Google's rivals to reverse engineer its technology. Google has previously said that it plans to file an appeal, which means it could take years before the company is required to act on US District Judge ruling. The US President has announced the relocation of US Space Command headquarters from Colorado Springs, Colorado to Huntsville, Alabama. The decision reverses a move made under former President Joe Biden's administration, which had selected Colorado Springs as the permanent home for the military's newest combatant command. Defense officials have previously estimated that initially he selected Huntsville for the Spacecom headquarters, but those plans were wrongfully obstructed by the Biden administration.
And I am thrilled to report that the U.S. Space Command headquarters will move to the beautiful locale of a place called Huntsville, Alabama, forever to be known from this point forward as Rocket City. Okay, so Huntsville, Alabama, we love Alabama. I only won it by about 47 points. I don't think that influenced my decision, though, right? That didn't, right?
You're watching DD India News. Our time now for sport and updates from the US Open 2025. Second seed Carlos Alcaraz cruised into the US Open semi-finals, thrashing Jiří Lečeka in straight sets. Five-time Grand Slam winner Alcaraz has not dropped a set at Flushing Meadows in this edition. Alcaraz will play the winner of quarter-final match between 24 times Grand Slam winner Novak Djokovic and American fourth seed Taylor Fritz. Reigning women's US Open champion Aryna Sabalenka advanced to the semi-finals after Marketa Vondrousova pulled out of their last 8 clash with a knee injury. Vondrousova said in a statement that she had to withdraw from the quarter-final match due to a knee injury. World number 1 Sabalenka will play fourth seed American Jessica Pegula in the last 4 Thursday in a rematch of last year's final. American Jessica Pegula reached her second straight US Open semi-final with a clinical win over Grand Slam champion Barbora Krejcikova. Pegula had a poor run of form leading up to year's final major, but she flipped the script and made an excellent comeback to reach the semis. India's Yuki Bhamri and New Zealand's Michael Venus have advanced to the quarterfinals of the men's doubles at the US Open. Venus and Yuki Bhamri defeated the German duo of Kevin Krawitz and Tim Puetz to secure a spot as one of the last 8 teams in the draw. The India-New Zealand duo has progressed to the quarterfinals of a Grand Slam for the first time. Michael Venus had reached the final of mixed doubles twice but never gone past the round of 16 in men's doubles. In the quarterfinals, Venus and Bhamri will go up against Nikola Metkic from Croatia and Rajiv Ram from the United States. In women's doubles, Venus Williams bowed out of the tournament after she and her partner Leila Fernandez were outclassed by top seeds Taylor Townsend and Katerina Siniakova in the quarterfinals. Townsend and Siniakova needed just 22 minutes to sweep the opening set and quickly build an unassailable lead in the second. The victory sent the top seeds into the semi-final, where they will meet fourth seeds Veronika Kudermetova and Elise Martins. In football, German midfielder Ilkay Gundogan has left the English club Manchester City to join the Turkish champions Galatasaray. Gundogan made 358 appearances across 2 spells with City, scoring 65 goals. He won 14 trophies, including the Premier League, FA Cup and Champions League treble in 2023 when he captained the side. Gundogan initially joined City from Borussia Dortmund in 2016 before moving to Barcelona in 2023. He returned to Manchester for the 2024-25 campaign, scoring 5 goals from 54 games across all competitions. Galatasaray announced that they had reached an agreement with City for the free transfer of Gundogan until end of 2026-27 season. Portugal's Football Federation paid homage to late footballers Diego Jota, Andre Silva and Jorge Costa. The families of the players received medals, diplomas and awards from Portuguese Prime Minister Luis Montenegro and President Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa. Later, 2 sculptures with the jersey numbers of Jota and Costa were unveiled at the sports complex. As a tribute, Jota's number 21 jersey was given to his close friend and former Wolves and Porto teammate Ruben Neves to wear in future fixtures. The Brazilian football team held a training session in Rio de Janeiro as they began preparations for their final home World Cup qualifier against Chile. Coach Carlo Ancelotti will have the freedom to experiment with the squad selection as Brazil have already secured their place in the finals next summer. The new boss will be keen to familiarize players with his plans in order to better their quarter-final finishes from 2018 and 2022 editions. As for Chile, they can no longer catch up to top 7 even if they secure 6 points from their final 2 matches. The unbeaten Indian men's hockey team will face Korea in their opening Super Fours clash at the Asia Cup in Rajgir, Bihar on Wednesday. The Harmanpreet Singh-led side topped Pool A after defeating China 4-3, Japan 3-2 and Kazakhstan 15-0. Meanwhile, Korea head into the contest on the back of a mixed run, which includes a 4-1 loss to Malaysia. India's next Super 4 matches will be against Malaysia on September 4 and China on September 6. The winners of Asia Cup 2025 will qualify for the FIH Hockey World Cup in Belgium and Netherlands in 2026. Australian Molly Picklum and Brazil's Iago Dora clinched their first world titles at the Lexus WSL finals in Fiji. Picklum, 22, dazzled with 16.93 two-wave score, becoming Australia's first champion since 2022. Both surfers capped off stellar sessions and as top seeds, marking a new era in global surfing. Take a look. That's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can scan the QR code on your screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.